So on the Superfunds, cleaning up toxic Superfund sites not only reduces health risks, it helps create jobs during the cleanup and through newly uncontaminated and productive land ready for redevelopment, as you know. Unfortunately, Congress has failed to reinstate the Superfund tax, leading to fewer resources for the program. In fact, the resources have essentially been cut in half over the last 2 decades. Without those revenues, important Superfund cleanups have been delayed, the backlog of sites has grown, and the costs have shifted to the taxpayers. So let me ask you first, would you say that the success of the Superfund program depends directly on the funding it receives?
Yes.
And would more funding then mean more cleanups?
Absolutely. We're requesting an additional $20 million, which should get us 3 to 5 more started, but we certainly have a significant backlog.
I appreciate that. I think it's clear that the Superfund and Brownfields programs show that creating jobs and cleaning up the environment are not mutually exclusive. Now let me get to my beaches questions. Representing a coastal district, it's always been one of my top priorities to ensure the water at our nation's beaches is not contaminated and dangerous for those who visit them to swim, surf, and fish. And that's why, as you know, I was disappointed to see that the Beach Act grant program hasn't zeroed out again in the President's budget. States utilize these funds to monitor water quality and notify the public when our coastal waters are not safe for swimming. So my question is, do you believe EPA's beach grants have been successful over the years in expanding the number of beaches tested nationwide and keeping swimmers out of contaminated waters?
I believe that it has been a good program. I think where we have challenges is that it was supposed to start up to make sure that communities and states have the ability to monitor and do this effectively. We believe that that ability is now there, which is why we think it is, in a tight budget, it's one of the areas in which we can be a little bit tighter in terms of.
Well, you know, I disagree because I think that a lot of these towns don't have the resources. So I'm going to try to work with you and my colleagues, as we did last year, to restore this funding that helps address these health risks. The other issue related is another successful method, you know, is spotting spilled oil and floating debris in commercial areas like the New York, New Jersey harbor and collecting it before it damages the environment. Was the helicopter. You know that in 2014, EPA canceled the helicopter monitoring program in EPA Region 2, but operating in the summer to monitor the waters in the harbor and to identify debris, oil slicks, and algal blooms. Since the helicopter monitoring program was canceled, how is EPA engaging and participating in the Floatables Action Plan in the New York and New Jersey region?
Well, we're certainly monitoring the activities that both of the states have taken to have boots on the ground there to make sure they see the oil as it occurs and is able to address it. And we have a task force that I think you know we pulled together to make sure that we understand what the implications of having disinvested in that helicopter might be, if any. So we want to continue to work with you, sir, on this issue, because I know it's important to you.
You know, when we spoke about this last year, you said that there would be basically a web of protection in place to guarantee no gaps in coverage with respect to monitoring the New Jersey coast. Has the EPA taken some specific actions to fill the gaps left by the cancellation of the helicopter?
Well, I think we felt that the helicopter at this point, because of the actions that the states have taken, was not as necessary as it was before. We didn't feel like we would be putting the water at risk by not continuing to fund it. And so we do feel that there is a robust system in place.
See, the problem that I have with both the Beaches Act and the helicopter is that, you know, using New Jersey as an example, but I'm sure New York is the same, is, you know, the state and the towns and the counties all complain that they have less money and that they can't fill the gap. And so that's why if there was any way, obviously, to get the beaches grants back in place or to get the helicopter back in place and to pay for it federally, it would make a big difference, because I know you believe that the states and the localities can make up the difference, but I really don't think that's the case. So
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.